Alright, it is time for the 2024 Charnel 13 daytime tour video. Kind of went with the same mossy theme from last year, except for this year added a little bit more to it. We got the Plague Doctor from Home Depot. Much bigger than I thought he was going to be, but it looks really cool. Much more moss than last year. We got the swinging zombie girl. Over the summer, ended up finding her a new swinging mechanism, so she's working much better than last year. And still got a black light up there on her. The ring around the Rosie children, their arms on their mechanism broke this year, so spent about a week JB welding that back together, but they seem to be okay. And some of these tombstones were the same mossy ones from last year, but they also came out with a couple of new ones. There's one of them. And so yeah, it just looks a lot fuller than it did last year. Threw a couple of mossy skulls down as well. So I like the way that this area turned out. And then over here, introduced a new 6th theme for this year. And we got the butcher shop, or as I call it, the carnivorous cabinet. And it's a little more open in the front than I want it to be. I'm going to order more gauze to kind of close it off more next year. But when we go in, first thing we kind of see is a buzzsaw here. He's new for me this year, but not a new animatronic. I think he came out in 2021. I moved all the hanging body parts that I always did in the asylum are out here now. We got those bloody body bags back in the corners. We got this kind of deboned skin guy right here. There is a grill. The grill has these briquettes and flickering lights in it, and then a fog machine which comes up through the briquettes, so all this will make it look like it's actually steaming and charring all that. This whole place is lit up with these red floodgate lights. And then we got these tools back here, and on the table here got a couple of butching type weaponry for dismembering. And then we got these pretty realistic looking women's hands and arms and a woman's head, and then there's these maggots all over the place. And so that's how the butcher shop came out. Went with those little metal signs that I always do. I like those. Here's the entry to the asylum this year. And first thing is our little voltage wires. And then I went with these industrial wrought iron styrene lights for in here, and they have the Spirit Halloween attic bulbs in there, so this whole hallway is kind of flickering and it looks really cool. And the rat girl is new for me this year, and I put her in the pathway rather than on the side, so as her you trigger her, no problem. There's her sensor, so as soon as you walk in here, she just goes off, and her eyes will shift back and forth and kind of creep people out. And then knowing that they have to actually walk past her is going to be an additional creep factor. And then we got Double Trouble right here this year. Their sensors are working pretty well. As soon as you walk past them, they turn on every time. Got my black tarps and the black writing all over them as usual. And then for the entrance of the middle of the asylum room this year, I went with these really long shredded up gauzes, and I actually really like the way that it came out. We got our little hospital tools and syringes, these IV stands, my gauze backdrop for the convulsing nurse here, and then here she is. And just like last year, I also put this neck chain on her. And then in the asylum room this year, we changed it up, and I wanted to actually go for like a little hospital room almost. So you got a little nightstand with the haunted lamp and the haunted book over there off to the side. He's kind of on a little roll-away bed. This is John Doe. We got an IV stand. We got a little nurse's side cart. Kind of wanted to make it look like a little murder scene here, so it's all rusted out from age and everything. But then we got the little tools, a scalpel, we got a stethoscope, and a poison bottle to make it look like that he was murdered. And then all of this will be hit with the black light right there. We got this little toilet for in here as well. There's some vomit on the ground. We got these, I bought these realistic looking rats kind of for it all. And then there's a lot of detail in the toilet as well, so not a good looking scene. And then just a trashed shelf. So that's how this room turned out this year. And then over here, I liked the idea of the walk-through tunnel last year under here, but no one really used it, so we just kind of kept it more open this year. So we got Peekaboo Penny here, and then I did like the TV in that spot, so I kept it there. And then I got Evelyn Leach over here, whose sensor works really well, so you come anywhere near her, she goes off. Some more blacklight writing, and then I went with tons of layers of freaky fabric this year. I actually really like how it came out going into the God Ends Here room. And then we got the Broken Spine Girl. I doubled up on the crosses this year, so there's a lot more of those. We got the Floating Ghost Girl, and then we got the Levitator Girl. And that's the whole asylum. And then here's the exit. Wind has been a massive issue this year. It's just wreaked havoc on my display on numerous occasions. So, and it's a little windier today than I want it to be. But this is the new harvest. I doubled up on the amount of hay bales, doubled up the amount of pumpkins, and I doubled up the amount of corn stalks from last year. So it's much bigger, much more expansive. We do have from Big Lots the Scarecrow with the Ravens animatronic, but I want him to be triggered before you walk in front of him. That way his crows are already circling and the fog's already coming out. So we got one of those little spirit infrared emitters, and so what that does is as soon as you walk through here, it's already going to be triggering him. Now his fog will come out with the harvest scent. I went with the scents this year as instead of spritzers as fog additives, and I think the fog will continuously replenish the scent, so that's why we went with that. As for the asylum does have that as well in their fog machine, and it's the asylum scent, which is kind of like a gauze. And so every time that the fog goes off, you smell that. And then this one's kind of like a fall leaves and a pumpkin type smell for the harvest. There's all the pumpkins. Got these little ravens or crows everywhere. Got the windmill from last year. This is how the front of the straw man turned out this year. And then we got the lunging pumpkin carver, and then out in front of the carnival this year, that's kind of a hey, step right up to the carnival kind of thing. We have the Maestro and Little Daisy. New for me this year. And then the carnival entryway tent and the same metal signs from last year, like those. We got all the pool noodles up again. And then we got Heckles, and then we got the concession stand from last year. But this year, instead of just the masks, I also went with these as well. Picked these up from Spirit. Got the Carnival sledgehammer there, and then this baseball bat that has a saw inserted into it. I really like the way they look. A little popcorn tub there. Just looks pretty good. Here in a little bit, I'll get the balloons out as well. And then we put Lucky Bottoms down here. Got Harriet Hustle up here in her usual spot. Just works way too well. Got this hanging clown. The popcorn machine has the flickering light. Busted wheel. Got Poor George over here. And then from Home Depot this year, I went with the Trickster Trio. I really like them. They're really cool. And then the Thrashing Clown, just like last year, he won't be plugged in. Doesn't really work too well. And then this year, for the back of the Carnival, I actually went with a two-tone on the striping. So rather than having this red and white blood splatter go everywhere, I went with a black and red, or I mean a black light reactive striping for the back. That still is all blood splattered and stuff. Fits the same theme, but just looks so much cooler. And so we got that kind of separated everywhere. And then I also had enough this year to do the back wall as well, which was not done last year. And it completely is blacklight reactive, just like Wacky Mole here in his entire getup. So it all looks really cool at night. And then we got Bag of Jokes, and then the Funhouse Mirror. And that is it for the Carnival. The same little garland strands and string lights from last year. My little Carnival twisty light is actually up here this year. And what that does is that really seems to hit everything with it so much better than previous years. And then this will of course have the Carnival scent. No fog, just the sprays. And then we got the Black Forest. Didn't change from last year. We got a black light, and then the two backdrops, and then the two trees I picked up from Spirit last year. And then for the Witch's altar, I had gotten Lily's arms fixed, so with JB Weld as well. So instead of being against that wall, she's now over here. I got a much better wood backdrop for this year. Looks much better than the one last year. And then we still got the little mossy skeletons. Still got the little Bayou lanterns with the they'll have a flickering tea light candle in there. And then we got this moss all over the place. And then we went with these black floating candles this year as well, which I actually think are kind of a cool touch. And then all these pentagrams and stuff are still the same from last year. The altar table is still the same from last year, the same candles, same Ouija board, same wicked cats. We got the smudging sage there, a crystal, tarot cards, just all that kind of stuff. We got the fog machine for the cauldroness here. Let's see if her mechanism wants to behave this year or not. And then as we go out into the cemetery, starting off as usual, we got the Pumpkin Guardian and his fog machine. And then we got the backdrop up over there with the Bride in Black. And we got all these filler tombstones. And my big tree from last year actually fell down. The wind broke it right at the stem, so someone had to come and remove the whole thing. And but then all this jumped out of the stump, so yeah, it's pretty cool. We'll take it. It's better than nothing. And then in the back over here, we got the Twitching Banshee. We got Menacing Molly in her spot. All these filler tombstones. Got my wood coffins behind the gravedigger, and then we got these green spotlights staged throughout the entire area, and then also including the green fire and ice light. So it all looks pretty good at night. There's one flat green laser, and then the other one is right over there in front of the Pumpkin Guardian. I think it hits everything pretty well in here. We'll see how it looks with the fog tonight. Haven't tried it yet. And then Home Depot and Lowe's really came out with these really detailed and pretty big tombstones. So these mausoleum style ones. So I went ahead and put them out in the middle of the graveyard here, which is more in the spectators range, so that way it's not just out there like all the rest of these, which all this did help make the actual graveyard itself look a lot fuller. I did not add any more tombstones out there this year, but it looks like that there's a lot more, and it's because there's none up here where all these ones are. I really hope that they continue to come out with more of these because I really like these ones. The more of these type I can get, the more of those I can eventually start fading out, because these actually last and look better. Those over time either have too many holes poked in them or just break because of wind or whatever, one reason or another. And then the fog machine back here has the Walk the Grounds fog scent additive, and so it should constantly be replacing that with the scent this whole time. Did not go with backdrops on these walls this year because it didn't really look good last year or work out that well. So until I find some better ones, that's kind of what's going on there. But that's kind of the complete daytime walkthrough, and we'll see in about 12 hours for the nighttime video.